Hello again, everybody. Zack Attack is here with my TNA Final Resolution Impact review for this evening, Thursday, December the 19th, 2013. Alright, as you would see on the subtitle, we did crown a new TNA World Heavyweight Champion this evening in our Dixieland match. And like I kind of predicted on the Attack Sports today, someone did eventually kind of sell out and kind of jumped on the Dixie train, should I say. And once again, like I've been complaining for the last couple of impacts, you've been seeing my reviews, I've been kind of complaining about the lack of matches lately. Once again, we would have 3 matches. Only 3 in 2 hours, bunch of segments. But like I said also, it's not the quality. It's the quality. Decent quality matches for this evening's Final Resolution event. For this impact, we will kick things off with a segment involving the 2 men involved in our main event this evening, the 2 men who would be in the Dixieland match to determine the new TNA Whatever Champion, Magnus and Jeff Hardy. Magnus was questioning Hardy about whether or not he really would sell out the Dixie Carter, because we saw what happened at the end of Impact. Jeff Hardy went to Dixie's office at the end of Impact because Dixie's like, you want to join me? Join my coalition, should I say? The offer is on the table. The door is always open in my office. So Jeff Hardy took the door to our office, and Magnus was very suspicious of Hardy. And I said as my Tech Sports in my TNA review last week that Jeff Hardy has aligned himself with authority figures in the past to get his way. Who will never forget 10-10-10, Powerful Goal 2010, when they came and bought him. And Hardy would be, of course, the catalyst for Mortal to dominate TNA until, of course, that day he got really fucked up in that shitty-ass match with Sting at Victory Road 2011. Speaking of Sting, we would see a little bit of Sting this evening size stuff up here. But anyway, Jeff Hardy came out kind of not denying it or saying anything that, yes, he made those mistakes 3 years ago. And Hardy's like, you don't know me, blah, 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 blah. So Hardy did not answer any questions then during that segment with Magnus. But of course, all questions would indeed be answered in our main event this evening. Now on to our first matchup of the evening. The best 2 out of 3 falls match between Kurt Angle and Bobby Roode. Angle, all intent on redeeming himself following his loss against Roode About for Glory, a loss against him in a tag match. And of course, the challenge was made last week for this best 2 out of 3 falls match. And now, of course, here we are. Angle really wanted to. He has a chip on his shoulder. Something to prove that he finally can beat Roode, and he still got it. He still got the moves and the momentum and the energy to face off against the new boys. Of course, still kicking off with some decent moves as Roode would come out swinging from the beginning, conquering an Angle attempt for the Angle Slam, and Roode coming with some nasty little moves, even kicking out of Angle's triple German suplexes. But indeed, the winner of this first fall would indeed be Roode. And like he always been doing for the last couple years since he's become the It Factor, he of course took the cheap way to win, with referee distracted, following an Angle's move, trying to go for the suplexes again, with referee blocking it, and referee distracted. Roode went for the low blow. And the roll-up, 1, 2, 3, Roode would get the first fall. Decisive third fall became a submission affair, as Angle and Roode would trade off submissions throughout the majority of the second fall, with Roode really intent on trying for the tap out, conquering Angle numerous times, putting him in the crossface. And then one time, I think Angle countered out of the crossface into the ankle lock, and even Angle put on not the ankle lock, but he even put on the crossface on Roode. He, of course, did put the crossface on Aries a few weeks ago in their submission match in the tournament. Kind of, once again, sending messages to Roode. So, Angle has done the crossface before. So, there you go. Both guys were switching up submissions. Going for submissions in the second fall. But indeed, as Angle went back up, Roode would indeed do some cheap slide moves, trying to go for another big crossface. Again, like I said, he's been obsessed with the crossface, but that But another attempt at the crossface, like I said, that attempt later on in the matchup would cost him dealing. As Angle was getting set up by Wood for the crossface, Angle would counter to the Angle Slam and a 1-2-3 victory in the second fall for Kurt Angle. One fall apiece. I said in my Attack Sports, I did not think it was going to be too strict. I knew it was going to come down to the third and decisive fall, which would be exactly what would go down in our third and decisive fall. But this decent little matchup. Both guys were just nailing on each other. Like I said, Angle's had a lot to prove to himself here. So this third and decisive fall, both men were coming out swinging for the fences. Of course, like I said, Angle still had the chip, so Angle was coming out on all cylinders, going down with some. Once again, the submissions came back and forth between both these guys. You know, submission games would come in and play again as Rude would count out of Angle locks and, of course, count out of Angle slams as well. But indeed, Rude would get lucky once again. As Angle was once again conquering with some decent moves, the big moves of the top, and of course going for another ankle lock, following a near fall after an ankle slam. Rude countered out of the ankle lock, rolled up Angle, using the rope for leverage with a roll up 1-2-3. Once again, Bobby Roode beat Kurt Angle. It's not out wrestling Kurt Angle. It's outsmarting Kurt Angle. You know, he won both falls by kind of outsmarting Angle with the low blow with the referee distracted, and of course the rope leverage following the roll up, following the count of the ankle lock. So another Angle once again lost to Rude. Who knows in this storyline where Angle goes from here? Now that he's once again lost to Rude, we'll see what happens with Angle as he head towards the holiday season with his family. And there's a little storyline. We'll see how Angle conquers this hurdle once again that he cannot go through. That this hurdle, this little roadblock known as Bobby Roode, Angle cannot jump over. So we'll see what Angle does over the weeks to come in this situation. Now, on with our next scenario, our segment, EY talking to his partner, Joseph Park. Now, of course, last week, the bombshell, the real bombshell I wanted Bad Influence to drop 2 weeks ago was finally dropped by Eric Young that Abyss is Joseph Park. Or should I say, Joseph Park is Abyss. I've been saying that for months. Even the most oblivious person should know that shit. That Joseph Park and Abyss is the same person. Hello, the same guy who does the Black Hole Slams is Abyss. You know, Joseph Park, the guy who plays him, has been doing whole Black Hole Slams as Joseph Park. So indeed, I'm glad that Eric Young in this storyline in real life finally dropped the bomb that Abyss is Joseph Park and Joseph Park is Abyss. And Eric Young has been using his experiments somewhat as he brought out some gifts for his little friend Abyss, Joseph Park, bringing out weapons that Abyss would know and love. Barbed wire things, including his sharp 2x4 with nails, known as Janice. Never thought we would see Janice again. And with the announcement with those gifts, came the announcement that next week, Joseph Park / Abyss will take on in a 2-on-1 handicap match, Bad Influence. It's not just any handicap match, not just any 2-on-1. It's the return of the Monsters Ball match, which means anything goes and weapons are legal. But indeed, he walked with a weird look with Janice. So finally, we can finally see the monster unleashed next week at the Monsters Ball. That's what I'm predicting next week. That this will be the week that Joseph Park finally embraces the fact that he is Abyss. That the monster will finally come out to play. And of course, the ultimate playground for monsters being the Monsters Ball. Now, as we get on with that, on with our next scenario. The 4 briefcases for the Feast of Fire would be revealed tonight. And of course, those 4 cases. Now, if you missed my review last week and my Attack Sports today, I made a prediction about what I thought was going to be in the cases of DJ Zima Iron, Chavo Guerrero, EC3, and Gunner. I got 3 out of 4 right. Zima Iron will be the first to open his case. As I fully predicted, he would get an X Division Championship match. He is a former X Division champion, and now that Aries is a champ again, we'll see how Zima Iron does. And he's okay. He's a little kind of little bastard. He's a decent, okay athlete in the X Division. Better than his tag team champion partners, Romance. Next case, also white on. Actually, I was white on 2 out of 4. Not 3 out of 4. I meant 2 out of 4. Sorry. The second case, I was fully white on. Gunner getting the World Heavyweight Championship briefcase. Wins, of course, infuriated Storm because, as we all know, we saw last week, Gunner was the one that pushed Storm off the turnbuckle to get that briefcase. So now that Storm was once again inadvertently screwed out of a World Championship match, as Gunner knocked him off, even if he meant for himself, but it just adds more salt to the wound that has already been planted involving Storm and Gunner's problems. They've already had problems. If this, like I said last week, I fully predicted it last week, and I predicted it again on my Attack Sports today, that Gunner and Storm's relationship is over, especially with the nail in the coffin with Gunner getting the World Championship match over Storm. Literally over Storm, knocking him off to retrieve the briefcase that would contain the title match. So we were down to 2 guys. Ethan Carter III and Chavo Guerrero. I thought that since EC3's a pussy, and he hasn't stepped up his game, and probably never will step up his game. I know people have been, I've said this a few weeks ago, that people have been commenting about, the fact that EC3's been, jobbing to people. And I thought that the perfect way to win him out, since he's kind of a pussy, was to fire him. Only be rehired by EC3's AT and D. They were on the phone together. Come on, they're in the same building, but they were in the same room. As EC3 is about to open up his briefcase, here comes Sting, the man that kind of challenged EC3 to do something good with his career and kind of step up his game. The one that kind of helped influence EC3 to join the Feast of Fire match last week. Basically, it was EC3's way of getting out of a match with Sting, which once again, he got out of a match with Sting again this week, with Sting saying, "I will take the fate of your briefcase if you're to fight me." Of course, EC3 not wanting to fight Sting, being the pussy that he is, storyline pussy, of not wanting to step up his game to get jobbed easily, he decided to keep the briefcase. His briefcase had a tag team title match. I thought Chavo would get that tag team title match. But instead, Chavo got fired tonight. Storyline fired or wheel fired. Because sometimes I've seen this with Feast of Fire. That some people that do get fired from TNA in the storyline Feast of Fire are really getting fired because of their contract. But if Chavo is storyline fired, he may come back eventually. Either as himself again, or did like Christopher Daniels did. When Christopher Daniels got fired, he came back as Curry Man. Maybe Chavo Guerrero can wear like an outfit to disguise himself. But we'll see what happens. But now, EC3 getting a tag team title match. I hope that this is finally the stepping up that he deserves. That he finally can step up his game and face real competition. Even though he's taking on 2 guys who should be jobbers, or at least one of the 2 that should be jobbers. Of course, I'm referring to Robbie E and Jesse, the Bullmans. The jobber in this case would be Robbie E. But he's kind of improved, but it's not that big of an improvement. But I'll say this, Robbie E is better than Joy Ryan. Anyway, so EC3 tag team match, Zima Iron tag team match, X Division match, World Championship match, Gunner and Chavo. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey Chavo, goodbye for now, or ever. We'll see how it goes. Now on to the next matchup. Knockouts tag match. The return of Madison Rain. Wave and all, teaming up with ODB against Lady Tapa and Gail Kim. I kind of forgot that Gail and Madison were like close friends a couple of years back. I kind of forgot they were Knockouts champions. It's been a while, It's been a while since I remember that. So usually I remember everything, but I still can't believe I would forget simple things like Gail and Madison were partners, but it's been so long that I kind of forgot. Because I know Madison was in the Beautiful People with, of course, Velvet and Angelina. But I forgot her alliance with Gail for a while. So, with Madison back, Madison, of course, started the matchup against Miss Tapa. coming with some decent moves, but indeed, ODB would get in. Once ODB got in, the domination of Ciampa and Gale would indeed ensue, with both girls isolating ODB in their corner, the quick tags in and out, and of course, Ciampa basically punishing the hell out of ODB with those nasty little slam moves, with Gale trying to pick up the pieces. But after the isolation of ODB with the quick tags and double teams and all of that, and ODB trying to fight back, she didn't fight back long enough to get the hot tag to Madison Wayne, who would be in the ring one-on-one in this tag match against Gail Kim. Madison looked decent in the first match. She only wrestled for a few minutes, but I'd like to see Madison back in the ring. Some killer clotheslines, some killer moves to try to isolate and try to pin the Knockouts champion. But as she would do so, I think Ciampa would get involved until she got taken down by ODB. Only ODB would be taken out by Ciampa. So with Ciampa punishing ODB outside the ring, it would come down to Madison and Gale in the ring. Gale would indeed try to make her former BFF eat defeat. And she was going for that move. Madison countered that with a roll-up, a bridge, should I say, in a 1-2-3 victory for Madison Wayne. I predicted this on my Attack Sports again today. I made a lot of predictions on my Attack Sports today. Made a prediction that Madison Wayne and ODB would win this match. And I also predicted that Madison would get the pin on Gale to set up a feud in a possible match at the TNA World Knockouts Championship. It could be Genesis. The match could take place at Genesis. Now, on with the main event of the evening. Dixieland match to determine the TNA World Heavyweight Champion in this championship tournament final. Jeff Hardy against Magnus. Of course, the object of this matchup was to climb out of the steel chain. The 6 sides of steel was to climb out of that, over the top, and then climb the ladder on the stage to retrieve the championship belt. Before we would get to the match, Hardy would indeed finally kind of address the accusations that was aimed at him earlier in the show by Magnus, saying that he sold out to Dixie. Hardy's like, I did have a meeting with Dixie, and she did tempt me with forever contracts and lots of moolah, but I told her to stick it. Stick it, Dixie. I'm not taking your cash. I do what I love for my family, my fans, not for the love of money. And I'm going to be like AJ and represent the company my way. Well, the mention of AJ Styles, of course, a man that Dixie has despised, would bring up the aforementioned boss of TNA. Of course, saying, Hardy, you and AJ do have a lot in common. That you are both losers. Or should I say, you both owe your successes to me. Because I'm the one that stood by you when you were high and fucked up and making those mistakes. Not these creatures. So if you don't do the right thing tonight, Hardy, and join the Dixie train, you may not have a job after this. You know what I mean? Do the right thing and sell out. Don't think about what's good for Jeff Hardy. Think about what's good for Dixie Carter. Not good for business, but still, what's good for Dixie Carter. That Jeff Hardy may need Dixie Carter, but Dixie Carter needs Jeff Hardy. But as we wait to see if Hardy would do the thing that Dixie wanted to do or not, of course, here comes Magnus, and of course, the start of the final match of the TNA Championship Final, Dixieland, with EC3 coming down to watch as Dixie was as well. Both callers were watching in big interest in the Hardy Magnus match. Both guys were, of course, trying to weaken the other. Of course, the first object was to climb out of the cage. So both guys were trying to weaken the other to climb the steel cage out of it. Of course, both men were jockeying for position. Hardy trying for a swanton bomb. Of course, he was trying to climb out of the cage at one time. And of course, being the risk taker that he is, and not able to resist, he went for the swanton. But of course, he missed it, which Magnus really took care of, even going for a knee chop later on during the matchup. There's 2 great spots in this matchup, both involving Hardy, who kind of was the MVP in this matchup. Despite Magnus's big strength, of course, the speed of Hardy would come in handy for these 2 big spots. when he did like a big back splash move off the off the side of the cage. He kind of like did like a big move off the side of the cage. That was kind of a cool little move. Did like a little springboard off the cage into Magnus. That was a great spot. But the best spot was the spot later on during the matchup as Hardy was climbing the cage yet again. He climbed to the tippy top of the cage. And like I said before, Hardy has done a lot of insane things. You know, he's been in cage matches before when he's been on top of the ladder or on top of the cage. Should get the belt, or at least in this case, come out of the cage to get the belt. But instead, of course, he couldn't resist doing a big move off the top of the cage, delivering a whisper in the wind off the top of the cage, following weakening Magnus with not one but two twists of fates in the ring, leading up to that whisper in the wind off the cage, which was awesome. Great spot from Hardy in that matchup. But of course, with both men weakening from that, and of course weakening from the tremendous minutes of beating up each other, going back and forth, the jockey for position to weaken one or the other, both men would eventually get back up, and both men would be climbing out of the cage at the same time to get to the stage to get the briefcase, or should I say, this championship from the stage. Hardy got out first. He got out of the cage first because Magnus got a little distracted as EC3, like I said, was an observer. But it became a problem, or at least in this case a distraction, as he held on to Magnus' feet, preventing him from getting out of the cage as Hardy got out first, thanks to that little intervention from EC3. EC3 got kicked off by Magnus, and Magnus would indeed get out of the cage and back on solid ground eventually. But of course, EC3 was on him. Basically, it was bait for Jeff Hardy to do the right thing and join Team Dixie, with EC3 helping out Hardy. What it looked like that Hardy was going to take the help. And of course, take the bait to join Team Dixie. But Hardy did not take that bait. As EC3 was pummeling on Magnus, Hardy would get involved, doing the twist of fate on EC3, taking him out of the equation. With both men, of course, with that out of the way, with that little distraction out of the way, EC3 out, Magnus and Hardy was, of course, fighting to be the first one to get to that top of that stage, to get the ladder and climb it to get the belt. Hardy would deliver the twist of fate again, this time to Magnus on the stage, leaving Magnus vulnerable and helpless as Hardy was going to try to climb the cage. But Dixie Carter, not liking what Hardy did to EC3, not taking the bait, kind of blocked Hardy's path. Of course, saying that over my dead body, you're going to be like AJ Styles and not be on my side and not be my champ and blah, 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 blah. Hardy pushed Dixie out of the way, even shoving his shirt in her face as Hardy was about to climb the ladder and near the top of the ladder, inches away from that belt, until Dixie's chief of staff, Rockstar Spud, would come from the rampway, pushing Hardy off the ladder, pummeling to the ground below, knocking Hardy out. With Hardy out, Magnus got back up. And with encouragement from Dixie and Rockstar Spud, Magnus would indeed be the one to sell out and climb the ladder and get the TNA belt and become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. I said it in my attack, once again, referencing my attack sports, cheap plug for my other videos on this channel. Cheap little plug. But I predicted it again today that maybe Magnus was accusing Hardy just to distract from the fact that he's going to be the one to sell out. And eventually that was the case. And I've been saying it for weeks that I've been hoping for Magnus to be champ because he's been having a big push ever since he came back in March from his attack from Ace and Eights. And he came back in England. He's been on a big push. And he was a big favorite in the BFG series, only to lose to finals to the man who would eventually walk out of the company with the belt, AJ Styles. So how apropos it is that after not winning the Battle for Glory series, which I was hoping it was going to be, Magnus would win this tournament to crown the new champion following the walkout of the man he lost to at the BFG series, AJ, walking out with the belt. But I didn't like the way he won it, though. I like Magnus, he's got decent, but his mic skills are decent. Need a lot of work though. But still, he's a decent athlete. Great athlete in the ring. Very power flexing, like great power wrestler. With of course the muscles and the power moves and all that stuff. But the way he won it tonight, with kind of getting the victory after Hardy got knocked off the ladder, thanks to Dixie. And even at the end of the show, he raised his hands up in glory with Dixie and EC3. Now, EC3, this could be another seed planted. Now that Magnus is officially heel, I told you, whoever sells out turns heel tonight. And Magnus was the one that kind of sold out. It becomes Dixie's guy now. Here's another thing that could come up. EC3, like I mentioned, he got the briefcase for the tag team title match. He needs a partner. Now that Magnus is probably aligned with Dixie now, and despite what he tried to do to Magnus to prevent him from losing, to prevent him from getting the belt, until, of course, Hardy prevented the bait, didn't take the bait that EC3 was trying to help Hardy, blah, 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 blah. I think Magnus could be EC3's partner for the tag team match, for the titles. Who knows what'll go down there, but there you go. Decent main event matchup, decent spot for Hardy, but I think we would crown a new champ, and that new champ is Magnus. We'll see how he does. Hope he has a lengthy reign as champion, and maybe win matches without having a little help from his newfound friends, Team Dixie. He is apparently on Team Dixie, and he's jumped aboard the Dixie train. Choo-choo. That is it for my TNA Impact Wrestling review for this evening, this Final Resolution. Next week, after Christmas, will be Monsters Ball. It'll be Joseph Parks / Abyss against Bad Influence 2-on-1. That is it for my TNA Impact Final Resolution review this evening. I'll see you all later. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. Thank you all very much for watching. And happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you. See you later. Yeah.